these slave masters posing on your dollar. Get it?
Hold up, y'all. Check. What's up, everybody? It's your boy DJ Spyda the Don. Of course, we are back for another episode, of course, of not Thursday Night School, Fly at Night live stream. We are back with another episode of Fly at Night live stream. This is the first live stream I've had with this new brand. So if you're able to tune in, check us out each and every week where I'll be dropping some new stuff. I have a special guest today. If you heard the intro song, it's Just by Run the Jewels. Look at all them slave masters posing on your dollar. Keyword. They posing on your dollar and they slave masters. Use your mind. Be engaged. Of course, I got two guests on the Fly at Night show today. We got Von Kaya, my homegirl from high school, straight out of Cali. What's up?
What's up? Hey, thank you for having me.
Awesome. Can you hear yourself on the live stream?
Yes, I can.
Great. Perfect. Thanks for confirming that. And I also have my boy, my brother, DJ Venom. What's up, bro?
Yo.
All right. This is great. I wanted to kind of be a mediator today. I'm glad I got a female and a male. Also, I'm glad I'm here to provide some context as well. And also just provide my opinions as well. But you already know, the Fly at Night show, the podcast, you can find us anywhere. Google, Spotify. You can find us on anywhere you can find your podcast, Stitcher or iTunes, Apple Podcasts. But I want to let you know right now, this is what we got planned today. We're going to talk about the entertainment industry's response to everything that's been going on. And I'm glad I got two people who, one's a dancer, one's a DJ. I'm a DJ. We both do other jobs outside of that, but all three of us do other jobs, odd jobs as well. So it's good to have a multiple different perspective. But guys, I know y'all been seeing the news. I know y'all been seeing everything. We just saw the memorial of George Floyd lately, and we're still waiting to hear more information on Breonna Taylor's situation. How do y'all feel about hearing about the memorial? What are you guys' feelings towards the news of the other three officers getting arrested, and as well as other things going on in the entertainment industry as we've seen it going on for the past 24 to 48 hours?
Ladies first.
Oh, man. Well, of course, I'm really happy that they got the other officers because I think that was everyone's gripe was, like, the charges weren't enough and they didn't get everybody. But, you know, it's great to see them do their due diligence, do their research, and come back and get everybody. And then, you know, all the celebrities and the people in the entertainment industry have had a lot of interesting things to say. I'm sure we're going to detail it out a little bit more, but I've seen everything from one side of the spectrum to the other, and some I'm appalled at and some I'm very proud of.
Very true. My boy Venom, what's your feelings about everything going on, man, recently?
I just, I've been had enough. So it's like at this point, like my personal Facebook page I got rid of years ago because of all this. You know, so at this point, it's like cool if we can get all four of them, but let's see how this affects policy change. You know,
Facts.
What will change the systematic that affects us directly? You know,
Facts.
like that's cool when, you know, they call us and see how we doing, you know, and all of that, but like what you voting like, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Very, very true. I think one thing that I'm happy about really is that I'm really happy that not just only did we get the officers in jail, but now we're starting to see actual policy suggestions come out. It's more, like you said, it's more important than just getting people in jail. Because if we didn't have to have people in jail, you know what I'm saying, we'll have the policies enacted to get them in jail in the first place. So I really think, shout out to Miss Pauline, Kaya. You remember Miss Pauline down the street?
Yes, I do. Shout out.
Shout out to Miss Pauline. She always tunes in. But one of the things, now that we're starting to get policy suggestions and now we're actually building an agenda, I need us to actually start really working on and growing this planned process. You know what I'm saying? I think it's important to march. It's important to do the initial steps to bring that shock and awe to people's eyes and let them know that we're really serious, of course. But now that we're starting to take other steps as black culture, as a unit, as a people, really, we starting to see black, brown, white, Native American, we even international. I just saw people in New Zealand do the haka at their Black Lives Matter march. So
Mhm.
it's a big deal. The world's watching, and all eyes are on Minnesota, and all eyes are on that White House to see what happens. So exactly, I'm happy, but we have a lot to talk about in the entertainment world. I think the first thing I want to talk, the biggest topic that really has impacted me as a former athlete. And I know Venom, you played football as a kid growing up as well. Kaya, she was a dancer at she was at the football games I was at pretty much by default. But did y'all hear about finally we're starting to see the other NFL players starting to take up the mantle of Colin Kaepernick and actually demand the NFL make a statement to not just towards Black Lives Matter, but also towards of them saying that they were wrong with what they did to Kaepernick?
I've seen a couple of NFL execs say, come to the forefront and admit they're wrong. And I also heard an ad that a lot of the football players came together and they wanted the National Football League to admit, too. I wish I knew. I think I might have heard that on the Breakfast Club this morning, but it was beautiful because it was a couple of players, multiple players that band together, and they're like, we want you guys to admit that. And that's what they need to do. They need to come and be more supportive of the movement because it's obviously a problem.
Exactly. Venom, what's up?
They won't do that. This is crazy because in doing that legally, now that put them in, on some hot water in terms of the Colin situation. So
Sure.
That's one, but like they're real fans at the end of the day, not having that, including Drew Brees. Like, he turned around and apologizes, and then in his apology, it still doesn't address his stance. Like, he apologized for if it offended you, but he's still not changing how he feel about it.
Right.
And I'm pretty sure, him, Tom, pretty much most of the QB.
Well, we know Tom Brady is a Trump supporter. We do know that.
Yeah.
He put out his Black Tuesday thing, but that ain't enough. I'm like,
that's how I feel. It's not enough.
I'm really happy as the other black NFL players are coming to that's the thing. My first thing about this thing that happened, the first instance of Colin Kaepernick, was like, besides Eric Reed, no other of the black players on the team even supported Colin. Like, you know what I mean? They're just like, oh, I gotta get my money.
Right.
Sorry, Colin.
Right.
And like that's how I felt with other black players in the league. Besides like Malcolm Jenkins, there's other players in spots. But you know what I'm saying? It's not like the NBA. Exactly. It's not like the NBA where all the black players were either wearing "I Can't Breathe" shirts. You know what I'm saying? They did it. The black players did it as a unit in the NBA. Well, I feel like in the NFL, everybody's like, "Yo, I got." You know how these? I'll be real with you. The NFL really is a modern slave plantation. Let's be real.
I think the NBA. I think the difference between the two organizations is that, the NBA seems to support their players taking a stance against things like this, whereas the NFL is almost like, that's not a problem. That's, you know what I mean? Like they don't want to acknowledge that issue. Yeah. I feel like the NBA is so much more supportive of the sensitivities of what's going on and how it is impacting the majority of the people that they employ, you know what I mean? And that make them money. And I think that they realize, like, we have to let them have some outlet to, do this. And even if they're not kneeling, like you said, that we've seen them wear the shirts, we've seen them be able to do movements that are impactful at their events. Mm-hmm. And with the NFL, they're so controlled. They don't want them to do this. They don't want them to do that. And it's like, okay, well, what point do I have a voice? And, your league is, I don't even know, is it 75, 80% African-American? I mean, or people of color? I mean, and it just seems like they don't care. Like, how can you not care?
Exactly. I feel like,
go ahead. Like, that key word is some, like, with the NBA, because, like, I still got an issue, like, when guys in the NBA would call out, like, the NFL not letting y'all, kneel or whatever during the anthem. Like, come on, man. In terms of the NBA, they literally have a rule them boys gotta
Mhm.
stand during the anthem. So it's kind of like y'all ain't no different. Like y'all slave master just allow y'all to talk a little more, but you still gotta stand when the anthem.
Oh,
gets
you,
played.
you got a
So
nice
don't-
master.
It's the
You got a nice master.
Right. Right. You know.
It's the paid patriotism for sure.
But you know it's big business to have the flags at the events. You know, I really feel this is, by the way, no means this podcast is not exactly a sports podcast, but it's an entertainment podcast. So sports is entertainment. I'm a former athlete, as you see back behind me. My jersey's behind me. So I'm gonna talk football when I want to talk football. You know what I'm saying? Period. I'm gonna let everybody know. So, but like I feel like the next step, I feel like it's important. I'm glad that the players got to put their face out there, their name out there, and it's not just no run of the mill players. It's Patrick Mahomes. It's Deshaun Watson. You know what I'm saying? It's players that actually have a big name that they're putting that platform out there, which I do support. I definitely do support it. And of course, like me and Venom and Kai have had our individual conversations. How we understand why the looting happened. We may not condone what happened, but we understand why it played an important, significant part in getting people's attention on the issue.
I understand what it's a byproduct of.
Yeah, exactly. So by no means are the players out there talking, and that's the most important thing about some people not understanding what the protest is about. Because if you just say, they're doing it as we put the flag up, and they think, it's about the flag, they don't really realize the nuance and the other part of the conversation of, especially when Drew Brees made that statement. Black people came back from World War II just like your granddaddy and got beat in the street wearing their uniform. So that flag never really made the same. Even though we died for it, we fought in every war there was in America. Still was in slavery after the we were still in slavery after the Civil War because people were doing fake this long-term indentured servant. What do you call it when you're with somebody and you're learning from underneath them? Starts with the A.
Apprenticeship.
Yeah, they'll term it as an apprenticeship. You know what I'm saying? They'll do a lot of different tricks and stuff. And there's people who are quote unquote sharecropping, but weren't getting money by doing that and not making any money. They're just working the land. They had to sell all their stuff to the former owner of the land to just live on the land for rent. So let's be real. Like slavery lasted a lot longer than it is, and there's a lot of beset things that made us have this systematic issue. So I just want to put that out there. But I'm just glad the players are speaking out. I'm glad they're forcing Roger Goodell to make he just made a statement on Twitter, actually a YouTube post, responding to the NFL players' stance video. And I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch that personally. So I think there's a lot to be seen. There's a lot to be heard. And and honestly, if we had more commissioners, I know the owners are the problem, but if we had more commissioners like Adam Silver of the NBA, the sports could have a chance to breathe and actually let people have an opinion. You know what I'm saying? And also just as important is for them to have an opinion. Lauren Ingram saying, shut up and dribble LeBron. But like Drew Brees he's allowed to have an opinion makes no sense. It's a double negative. So it's insane how people have opinions on that.
For that, and I think that anybody who thinks athletes in this nation shouldn't have an opinion, and they pay taxes, they live here, their children are here, like why shouldn't they have an opinion on it? Like what type of message is shut up and dribble to anybody? Like I don't even understand the sentiment behind telling somebody that. Plus, it's just a shut up because you don't agree with me. Because whenever it's someone that she agreed with, she clearly was fine with them having an opinion. So I really take news outlets like that from people like that with a grain of salt, because if you really were interested in, understanding, you would welcome unique different perspectives. Even if you didn't agree with it, you might welcome it. But for her to say, they shouldn't have an opinion, I was kind of like, who are you exactly? Why are you qualified to have an opinion? What do you do?
In fact, she's just a mouthpiece. She's just a mouthpiece. All right, guys.
Definitely through.
But yeah, and definitely through everybody went for a loop, right, Kai? Not like I don't even watch Fox News, but when I saw the clip, I'm like, yo, you just said a couple months ago, LeBron to shut up, and then now you're like coming to the Drew Brees' aid like he's fragile. You know what I mean? So it was insane. But another thing I would like to talk about as far as entertainment world being involved with this is our the social media protests that took part on Tuesday. And how did you feel about Black Tuesday? Did you take part? Did you feel it was effective? I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna preface this. I initially made a post, a black tile post, and what I ended up doing, I took it down because after watching some of the videos of some of the Black Lives Matters people and hearing some of the statements that they were making about the black tiles, how it was clogging up the Black Lives Matter hashtag, like we were just self-censoring ourselves. I took down that post and I made a post by Martin Luther King about his speech that he wrote, where he talked about how white liberals need to do more. It's not just enough to love black people. You gotta demand justice for black people, because love without justice isn't love at all. You saw that post. So how did y'all feel about the blackout? Did you do a tile or did you do something different? Did you tie it in? I don't know how you individually did that, guys.
Go ahead, Venom. You can talk.
I mean, I didn't do it. I was not with it. First question was, who came up with this? One. Two, what is it doing? Because again, like I said, we passed that point. And then learning, like you just said, in terms of the hashtag, like they're telling people not, don't use Black Lives Matter because it'll do that. But then on top of that, like that's a good reason, but it also gives them an escape to, like, it's a good chunk of them who just cannot stutter, like they cannot get the words out of their mouth, Black Lives Matter, or even type it on their devices. And so it gives them an easy way out to say, hey, I posted a black picture and I said Blackout Tuesday.
Okay.
Like Blackout Tuesday could be a sale. Like, so it's like, you know what I'm saying? So like that was, I wasn't with it at all. I wasn't with it at all, man. Not at all. You know what I'm saying?
I actually don't mind things like that because I feel like, to a degree, and I respect how you feel on that front. Like, you make a very valid point. But I guess I feel like it can show a form of solidarity. Like, some people's hearts are in the right place. A lot of people's hearts are in the right place. A lot of people want to do the right thing, and they're in a position of, like, what's the next move? You know what I mean? Like, it's policy change. Like, we can't just keep on doing stuff online. I'm with you guys on that. But I do think that as far as social media, like, what more do you use social media for? I mean, like, people use it to spread awareness. They use it for different reasons on their platform. So for me, I thought it was cool in terms of city, but again, like, that's not enough. Obviously, that is not going to be enough by any means. I mean, people have to do more than that. They need to challenge themselves to be better than just posting a black square online. Like, you can Blackout Tuesday, great, I love it. I personally got off of social media altogether that day. Like, I did like a social media blackout for myself. Where I got off social media. I focused on other things in the world. What can I do? How can I show self-care? I mean, I'm looking to work in my community. What am I doing? That's the thing. But a lot of people sit on social media all day and do nothing. So, I mean, online social media presence is nice because I think it can spread awareness to how many people are actually maybe opening their eyes to what's going on. I mean, specifically we're all from down south. I mean, I saw people posting it and they're talking about it. There are people I never thought would be talking about it. There are people I never thought would open their eyes to be like, this is a problem. So, I mean, if that square is just one step in them saying that and opening their eyes to it, to me, that's good, because it's not enough for just black people in America to stand up. Everybody here needs to stand up because, too, you know what I mean? It can't just be that we shun people. I spoke about it on my podcast. Malcolm X said, a white woman came to him and said, what can I do? And he told her nothing. And he said he regretted that the most because he was like, I should have taken that time to inform her and educate her. And he's right. we can't breed change with just one group of people doing something. Everybody has to come together to make that right. It's an everybody problem. It's not just our problem. It's everybody's problem. It ain't right for anybody. Damn sure not for us.
Right.
Yeah, I think the most important thing about this black child thing is, I wish you would have took it and then ran with it in a way that, like you said, that was educationary. Like if you post a black child, make it a post with your favorite Malcolm or Martin Luther King or C.K. Steele or Jesse Jackson or you know, favorite quote from them that actually, or Mahatma Gandhi, even though he was kind of racist. Any post that exemplifies why racism needs to be defeated.
Very.
Yeah, I'm putting it out there. I'm putting it out there. I'm just telling the truth right here. That's what we do at It's Facts podcast.
And he was sleeping with a girl.
We talk facts. What'd you say?
Facts.
His niece or like granddaughter to test his strength, I guess, from sexual activity. He was sleeping in the same bed with her, and I want to say naked. My facts might not be right on the naked part, but he definitely was sleeping in the same bed with her.
Well, it's Facts podcast. You just got a fact, so shouts out to Venom. But
I didn't know that. That's fact.
But let's be real. Like all of our great leaders, they were very flawed. You know, we can talk about Malcolm X being a pimp in his early life. You know what I'm saying? We can talk about Martin Luther King just being a womanizer, bro. He was in these streets. So, it's
oh my gosh,
it's true. But you know, they did change the world anyway.
Yeah.
Overall, I feel like the entertainment world. I feel it was a decent response. I feel like it had a good intention behind it, because Black Tuesday was originally supposed to be only streaming services, entertainment companies, yeah. And I feel like that all because they said the show must be stopped, which is that there was a thing, but nobody fully communicated that to everybody else. You just saw radio companies do it, and they still playing. The show must be stopped was supposed to mean like we not streaming, we ain't showing nothing, we not playing nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because they're going to, but you know, companies ain't going to take that advertising hit. They ain't about that life. So
I actually liked what Apple Music did. They actually made it to where it was, when you clicked in, they were just playing like Black artists. And I love that, because a lot of Black artists have a lot of wonderful things to say. But the only knock, I guess, against it is that we all know that the artists don't always see that money.
Of course.
when the streaming services, I mean, like, they're not getting anything back from that. But if it's helping people embrace some of the messages that they have, because we have people like J. Cole and Kendrick who a little more woke, more woke, that will speak that real. And if that was Big Crit for sure, Currency. People who actually talk and open their mouth, and hopefully their music may open somebody else's mind. You know, you never know who you reach out to through music, especially.
Yeah, I really feel that. I think also I really liked what Nickelodeon did. Nickelodeon over the past week.
Oh yeah, me too.
They played 8 minutes of silence, 9 minutes of silence.
Mm-hmm.
And they made a post after that in their Nickelodeon Orange, talking about the significance of it, so they can educate the children. And for me, being a big Nickelodeon fan, especially being from Florida, Nickelodeon was everything for me. As me being a kid here in Florida, I didn't much care for Disney. I love Nickelodeon. I watch more Nickelodeon TV than anything. But it was like just watching them actually have the gall to do that, and like, you know, try to give kids an education. Because one thing, Nickelodeon, like, they just do cartoons, but they know their audience. They know they need to try to explain this to kids. Because some parents don't do a good job of explaining it. And sometimes when you watch something as a kid, it really sits with you deeper than you ever thought. So that was a big significant thing for me.
Agree. I agree too. I think that being able to explain it to the kids is important. I think a lot of people are scared to bring these topics up to their kids. Like, I don't even want to say scared, but it's like they feel like they don't know how, or they feel like their kids are too young. You know what I mean? But it's like a real thing that's happening. And I think that if we're educating our kids at younger ages, I mean, I was educated at a young age about like racism and what happens
But
in
Kaya,
a
that was
basic way, and then obviously more advanced.
But
I
Kaya,
thought it was beautiful.
that's a different situation where we had to be made aware. All three of us all three of us being black young people, we had to be aware. Like my grandma.
I agree. I think though Nickelodeon took the reins in making it universal, among people who watch Nickelodeon. I thought that was smart because it's like there are parents who really don't know how, but it's like there's examples. Look at how Nickelodeon is doing it. And your child watches Nickelodeon every day. You know what I mean? Like there's examples of how they're showing it. I love that because it's teaching both your kid and your parent. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Venom, we do music. So I know you saw the foolishness of Trina on the internet. And Kaya responded.
Yes,
She had time. Kaya had time. Not you.
I didn't even see
my
the
neck,
Kaya
my back,
response,
Kaya.
so I just know.
Oh my gosh.
Oh man. Shouts out to Ashley Dumas. She's tuning in.
As well.
Say it again.
Yeah. Shout out best friend.
But who'd you say about Love and Hip Hop?
I said Masika as well from Love and Hip Hop. She called Trina out and she called for Kaya to come get on her. I was like, oh Lord.
So at this point, Trina now needs to be fired from the radio station because if it was a white radio personality,
they'll be gone.
Another station that we didn't even listen to, they would be fired.
Not even just that. The wildest thing is
for their head.
The wildest thing is that is Trick Daddy usually is the crazy one, and Trick was out there like, "Yo, calm down, what you doing?" I was like, "Yo, Trick is like," she was like, "Yo," and the funny thing about it is Trick just had an incident with the police like a month ago. You know what I mean? Getting ran up on. So he's famous. So I don't know, bro. Like it's what Trina. I kind of get where she was coming from. Oh, my friend's store got broken in, but look, it happens. We moving past it. Your friend got you. You can help her get her shit together. You know what I'm saying? I understand. I'll be real. I'm not like I said earlier. We not a fan of the looting, but it happened. We understand what happened behind it, and even Tom G put a post up on Instagram about like how people out in Tampa done broke into a black man's shoe store called Shoe Mountain out there. So Mr. City Boy was like, yo, he was hot because, sometimes, things happen and it was a sacrifice for the greater point of the movement. But we do know some people who are a part of these marches aren't a part of the cause. I'll put it that way. There's some people in these marches.
That's what I think too.
Go ahead, Venom.
Now, anytime they bring up like the looting and all that stuff, like a lot of that's not us. So, we got proven documentation of pallets of bricks just being left
out of nowhere.
Where there ain't no construction. You got the Antifa situation. You got cops and SWAT team people who've literally been arrested and charged with starting fires. You got the news reporter who at a riot, not at a riot, at a protest, he played gunshots from his phone and didn't think it was nothing wrong with it.
Disgusting.
But like, I think one thing I would wish that the Black Lives Matter protesters, even though I'm up and organize a protest, by the way, if you're under the power of my voice, this weekend we're going to be at Lake Eola, June 6th, at Lake Eola 3 to 7, protesting against this police brutality and definitely other things. Also, but our goal is to give people agendas and things they can use towards making the community safer and better for their citizens, and also give tactics a way they can hold their city councilmen accountable and tools to do that. So that's what we're doing, and also encouraging everybody to vote. Back off of that, like I know, like I've never seen a pile of bricks on a pallet outside. I've been in construction area. They're usually inside the construction area. You know what I'm talking about, Venom? Like, they outside by the street.
Right.
Like, just on the corner. Just, you start whistling, just let go of the pallet jack and it slid off.
Let's take that deep, though.
Go ahead.
Let's take it deeper than that, though. So, like, two things. One, like, how firefighters are even started as an organization. So, becoming, like, firefighters originally in New York, when they were started, it was just different gangs. And then the insurance company would pay whoever showed up to the fire and put it out first.
Mm.
So a lot of times the firefighters, the gangs would start fires and then collect, they payment from insurance to put it out. So you got the same, more or less, we don't have proof of who's putting those pallets there, but you sit there and look and reflect on who benefits the most if all of this gets destroyed. And then you think about all these white-owned construction companies who get all of these contracts to build and all that in the city anyway. So it's a nice investment for them to go ahead and put up a pallet of bricks, and if they get that contract, somebody they know who get the contract, and they go have them.
And I even say this, like, there's videos of people walking down the street and the protesters going by, and there's these little teenage white kids spray painting Black Lives Matter. Like, fam, we appreciate you for being a part of the fight, but just follow us. Don't do your own shit. Follow us. Like,
right.
And the most important thing I'll have to say also is, I don't know if y'all saw Jake Paul, the younger Paul brother, was out in the street looting on his YouTube. He had a group of people with cameras follow him around during the protest, and he was joining on the looting. Like, how?
So, like, he definitely did it for the views.
You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, you did it for views. You're not even really trying to be a part of the situation. Like, Logan gave a whole impassioned speech on his podcast, which I appreciated the speech because he's talking to his fan base. But the younger brother, dude, what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like,
you said Logan, the Marvel Logan?
The older one, Logan's the older one, I think. I think Jake is the younger one. Jake is the one I saw on the street.
Yeah.
I don't know how they let both of them get famous. One of them should only be famous, really. But, but I don't care for either one of them. Like, you can't let two idiots in the entertainment industry. Please don't. Please not.
There's a lot in the entertainment.
there is a lot. There is a lot.
You know what though? Like, in this situation, is two music issues, or mainly, I guess two, that I wish that, like, having the power to somebody to really press the button on it.
Okay.
But, like, we know how like hip hop artists are getting screwed over in their contracts. Is that the same thing for pop artists? Because we know in every other job, black people are making less. Is that the same thing for hip hop, which determines all of the coolness in the country? And if that's the case, why? Like that list that just came out with the top paid artists on the top 10, the only black one was Kanye. And then he only the number one because of his Adidas deal. Like Jay-Z makes the deal because of all his other ventures. Yeah. Drake is, that's a whole nother situation with his blackface and all of that. So he's able to appeal to a different crowd. But Rihanna makes it because of Rihanna's makeup. That whole, like,
lingerie,
you see what I'm saying? All them other white artists who on that list, all they do is just sing it. They sing and dance. That's it. So that was like one issue I wish like somebody could expose these contracts of what those artists are making versus our people. And that's
two. Real quick, sorry to jump in, Venom. That's what the whole point is. We got to ask questions of, like, these companies, these brands. I know Kai got a lot about this later on. Hold on a second, Kai. Calm down. Calm down. We got these questions about these brands because when you talk about the music industry, all these music industry people, Atlantic Records, Warner Brothers Records, Universal Records, we stand with the protesters. We are black tile. The show must be stopped. But bro, you still raping these artists out here. Like, you still got people on 360s for no reason.
Right.
Correct.
Go ahead.
I mean, I'm not a part of that industry 100% to know. I mean, I know that they get signed to deals, and we know that I'm sure multiple artists get signed. All of them don't make money. Mm-hmm. Some do, some don't. You guys know. But I don't know what their deal structures look like. You know what I mean? Like, not truly. And it would be on the artist. Like, I wish more artists would come out and tell us. Like, but that's on them to expose their deals and what that really looks like. And some of the artists get taken advantage of because they think the deal is better than what it really is. They don't have enough the right people looking over their paperwork. They're just seeing dollars and cents and listening to whatever somebody's telling them. And a lot of times they're not getting, the best for the content that they're putting out. Yeah. So.
And
I mean, you got to get to be like a Taylor Swift level where you've got just such a huge fan base
bro.
to make your coin. I mean, I'm not a fan, but I'm not a heavy fan.
But let's be
But
real.
you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but let's be real. With Taylor Swift, it's a different level. That's when we can talk about how the music industry is kind of not underhanded. Not to diss the Princess Taylor Swift, but she has a lot of things going for her because she started out in the country world. You know what I'm saying? And that country world, they can. Oh, is Julie tuning in? What's up, Jules? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like the country world itself is such a I would like to say like an old. They're still working. I won't say old. I would say they work off the physical CDs. You can still in the country industry, you can still sell a CD, a LP. You can sell a record. They still live off of that. Like Taylor Swift makes money because she can still sell physical copies. Period. In hip hop, it's all streaming. Rock, pop music. All streaming.
But with the streams, they're not making the same type of money, and that's what I'm saying. It's like,
of course,
we're talking about pop artists compared to hip hop or R&B artists. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you have one audience that's willing to buy the hard copy versus the other audience that's not, of course, the other artist is going to make more money, and they're going to be at the top of the chain with what they're making. Yeah. When we get into hip hop and R&B and just Irene, like, what are the artists in terms of, you know, their race? What is that looking like in hip hop and R&B in terms of people of color to non-people of color? You know what I'm saying?
Facts.
Right. Then I go to that systematic issue about income for all of us. So, like, because the black people are making less as a group, like they're not able to pay what white folks pay to go to a festival, or you know what I'm saying. So like, then that turned around and hurt our people too, the artists. But that's a good point. If those artists was to say like to an artist like Billie Eilish, she supported us and she had these protests. Eilish, how you say her name? But she supports the movement. These all of our people go ahead and post up their contracts. But then people like her who in that position, let's see yours.
Who's been signed? Who's been signed since she was 16? She's been signed since 16.
I mean, she was in the game. She's only 18 now, right?
But still, like at 16 years old, to get molded and become a product and then be put out to the world, and then not just be put out to the world by off your own muscle like our artists are. They got to grind the chitlin circuit to be signed at 16, and your parents are in the industry before you, and you already know what to expect. And a lot of these people like Taylor Swift, she as a young country star, she was like protected. You know what I mean? When we get guys 15, 16.
You call her country pop too, though, because her music isn't just. I mean, like she is a country artist, but I would even consider to call her pop as well, because she can do right up there with what. I don't want to call her Hannah Montana, Miley Cyrus. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but what I was saying,
Miley Cyrus can do, you know.
But what I was saying, when she first came into the industry, she was a country star, and so when she first came in, like even with another person, Miley Cyrus, she came into the industry very protected. You're Billy Ray Cyrus' daughter. Achy break your heart, we can't touch you. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, we have our 15, 16, 17-year-old artists come in. Their parents don't know the music industry. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
And they
so let's be fair.
Go ahead.
Let's be fair. We got some of our artists who in that situation, like her. She was groomed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like she was hanging out with Michael.
Yes.
Like,
okay. Yeah.
Yes.
You know, so
well, that's fair.
Exactly.
That's fair.
Tiana Taylor. Like we got
yes.
two now.
Tiana Taylor.
You know?
And Tiana Taylor complains. Tiana Taylor has been very vocal about her issues in the music industry. If you guys who listen to her, very vocal. You're right. I'm not saying everybody's like that, but more often than not, when a white artist comes in, pardon me, guys. Thank the mute button for that. I love my mute button. Thank you, Rode. But when these white artists come in, they might have they have a little bit more leverage because their parents might be able to afford a better lawyer. You know what I'm saying? Or their parent might know somebody who was an artist who can help them go in and negotiate. So I'm just saying by statistical money, some of these artists have better leverage coming in. I just think, honestly, in the music industry and entertainment industry, period, there is that systematic racial component, but also how you act and also what leverage you come into the industry definitely depends as well. Because, you know, if
you come in the industry hot, smoking hot like Soulja Boy when he first came in, you can demand a little bit more as long as you got a good lawyer to help you out. I mean, not everybody has that type of leverage. It's like even we have people from Tallahassee, Mississippi who come in there, might make a viral record, you know what I'm saying, and they come in there, get a 360 deal, and they get taken out quick because they don't know how to last. All they know is how to make hot, quick music and don't know how to last. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes, and I think that's what comes with it is that you can have somebody with a one-hit wonder, but if we're going to invest money in you, we want to know that you're going to be able to produce consistent content. And consistency, I think, is the key. I mean, it was Khalees. She actually, Milkshake Khalees, she said that these executives and these brands, they need to support and pour back into the artists, start, talking about royalties, start talking about ownership with these artists, because that's their art, that's their craft, and a lot of them don't even own it.
But let's be real, like they get into
there could be some conversations, but they gotta want to do that.
And by the way, anybody under the power of our voice, please share the podcast. By the way, please share the podcast on Facebook. Sorry, go ahead, Venom. Sorry.
Nah, I was just being petty when she said Khalees. I was like, the way she owns a lot of non-stuff that she didn't work for after that.
Right.
She got that 50%. She got that 50%.
But she did call out the industry, though. Yeah. And I mean, I agree. They do need to look at ownership among, these artists who bust their butts to create unique, consistently good content. Like, I mean, at what point are they going to be able to own their rights? You know what I mean? All their stuff like that.
And also,
Russell Wilson just bought Sierra hers.
And I think the next step for us is this: if we're going to take connected to this movement that's been going on, you know what I mean, is definitely we need to educate more of the young artists on ownership and not selling their catalog right away because they want that quick dollar. They don't know. Don't sell your catalog right away. That's also like, they have that social media post, don't sell grandmama house. It's the same principle. You just got a hit. You just don't sign your whole life away just because you got a record and you need $50,000. Because that if they quote you $50,000, you're probably worth double that. If they quote you $1 million, you're probably worth double that, triple that. So like just being able to educate artists, and that's our job as part of the music industry. You know what I mean? And me being part of the music industry, Venom owning his own music group. Shouts out to Anwar Music Group. Did I pronounce it right? Venom, what's the music group name? Aurora Music Group. Sorry about that, brother. But
now you good.
But in this whole, it's up to us to educate each other as it was with us getting out of poverty. That's the thing. Like we the ones that know better should teach better. But then also, like even the instance when Kodak Black got mad at Master P trying to give him an education. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So like,
I don't pop the brakes on that one.
I feel
you get the full scoop though on that whole situation though.
Okay, let's drop the knowledge on it. If you tuned in, my boy DJ Venom will drop that knowledge.
So Kodak, basically Master P came up trying to sign him. Went down to do that. He had like he was helping him off rip. Okay, cool, appreciate it. But then it got to a point where Kodak moving the way he wants because he really don't need your assistance, but appreciate the offer. When that happens, now Kodak trying to give back to schools, Master P calls in and basically like, tell them, hey, it's gonna be dangerous if y'all let him do this at y'all school.
Oh, so he was stepping on toes.
Because Kodak didn't go through Master P to do the event. And then on top of that, Master P was the money he was charging Kodak to put on this event. To like this give back thing. And Kodak was like, nah, I can do it without you.
I feel you. Okay, I get the gist. But you understand what I'm trying to say. Like we need people like seniority be able to talk down and get people and be the younger people being able to open and listen. You know what I'm saying? And like, it's not even about being big homies. It's about having information and passing it down. So I feel like this whole entertainment industry thing, there's a lot more things to talk about, but I feel like as long as we keep the conversation, we're starting to see Meghan Markle, the former Duchess of Sussex, made a statement, and she's a very light-skinned mixed woman from California. She made a comment on it. I'm starting to see, I'm glad the NFL players did that. I'm glad the NBA players are doing it. Any particular artist or person that you saw do it and you think did it right? Either one of you?
non-black people, or you saying?
Anybody you thought who made a very poignant statement that you think people need to hear? That on the.
So there's this dude. I don't know about his name, and I wish I did, but he's a former NFL player, and he hits it on all the points that white folks love to point out when they say, "Hey, he made it, so can you." And what he's well spoken, as they like to, as for us who
I hate that.
Like to say
I
like
hate that. You speak so well.
Right. But he, in terms of how they perceive us, and for them to actually listen and what we gotta say, he checks all the boxes. So he made it to the league. So because he's successful in his career, he has a nice smile. Guy has a nice build. He talks to them in a way where it's proper, that they feel it's
he's not threatening.
They automatically assume he's smarter because he's not talking in slang. Yeah. So he checked all the boxes, all the stereotype boxes. But then he get a ass at work on YouTube, and in it, he basically ended up getting put on CBS because of his videos, and it's been viewed millions of times. But it was just those same questions they like to ask about the black on black stuff, and, will white people get killed more, so all of that. But he told their ass up.
Kai, any particular person that you heard made a statement that you thought was very poignant and very good?
I've heard so many. I mean, Steven Jackson has been Mr. Vocal about, a lot of this because he knew George Floyd. So his statements have been ringing through a lot of the news and media outlets, podcast outlets, and things like that. I mean, not anything that's so specific that I haven't heard before. That's why I'm so ready for policy change, because I agree with the sentiments of so many people speaking out against this, that I'm like, okay, well now what's our next moves? I want to see what are the people who need to be speaking up now. I need these politicians to start talking, Democrats and Republicans, put your policy where your mouth is. All of them, they talk a big game. They want the black vote. They, pander to get it. Hillary with her hot sauce 4 years ago, and her whipping Nene on stage. But I'm like, well, what are you actually doing? Because I'm not saying even the black agenda, but police brutality, period. It's a problem. What are you doing? You know what I mean? Now it's to do. It's not just about to say anymore. It's to do all the way.
Facts. I actually think some of the best talks on this topic really came from not just from artists, but I really think it really did come from the athletes. I love the fact that the way Malcolm Jenkins responded, the way Richard Sherman responded to the Drew Brees incident was very good. Even the way Shannon Sharp tore Drew Brees a new one. And
Shannon Sharp has been really vocal.
And
I gotta see that. I gotta go listen to that.
And I really appreciate these artists, and not these artists, but these creators. They're all content creators. They're all of them. Even though they're athletes, they're making content. They have their YouTubes. They have their own Instagram. So you're still a content creator at the end of the day. They're one of us. So the way that Shannon Sharp addressed Drew Brees was very poignant along the lines like what I mentioned earlier about how our grandfathers fought in every single war. Every single war America's been in. The French and Indian War, the War of 1812, you know what I'm saying? Revolutionary War, of course the Civil War, Korean War, Vietnam War. But every time we come back, we always still come back a little less than you. And it's not fair. So I really appreciate everybody standing up. I really appreciate everybody making a point to have these hard conversations. And one thing I want to say is all the young people, I'm still kind of young, I'm 30 now, but all the people who are in their 20s, because I was out, we was out there in 23, 24 years old when Trayvon Martin got shot. And when we was out there. So what people need to understand is that the young people are the ones who are going to lead this conversation. So, and we are now at 30 years old. This is how I feel. I'm supposed to be the guy who teaches them the next things they need to know. Like at this point, I feel like I'm the guy who gives these people their knowledge, the next knowledge. Like, hey, this is the agenda. This is what we want. This is what we see. What we seen. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. This is how you organize. This is how you do this and that. I feel that now that's my job.
I do want to give a shout out to Mayor Bottoms. She's the mayor, I believe, of Atlanta.
Yep.
She has been stellar in terms of being on police misconduct with urgency. You know what I mean?
They call her auntie.
With it is like
Atlanta, they call her auntie.
Mayor Bottoms. They said perfect for Atlanta. But I've loved seeing that because that's what we need more of, to encourage that. I mean, I think we all understand the sentiment of, you know, like, not all cops are bad cops. Like, I get it. I get where people come from. I'm sure I get it. But we're not talking about them, we're talking about the ones who are bad. And they need to be reprimanded. And I'm so happy that she is making a point to reprimand. And it's not in bias. It's just like, what are the facts? What did they do? Okay, this is the punishment done. And there's no lip. That's just it. We need more of that, you know, like more people stepping up in those positions across the nation, saying something, because they're making waves. You know what I mean? Like, that's how you end it. Because when people realize, oh snap, they getting fired for that. Yeah, you getting fired for that. Don't be stupid.
Exactly.
That's a good point. Like
you know,
I think that's one of the changes I want to see is like that police constitution. So, like, when you commit a crime, you know, you do something unlawfully outside your job and you get suspended or whatever the case may be, you still need to be interrogated. You need to go through that process just like anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yes.
You shouldn't get 48 hours or how many other days, the hours they give them to get their story straight.
Yeah.
No, you need to
go right away.
The best of your memory right now, you need to address that. On top of that, if you get fired from one police station, you shouldn't be able to get hired nowhere else in America. You know, and so they milk that system too.
Yeah. They go to the next county over. They go to legit. Another shout out I want to give it to our boy D Horton, the gentleman who I had on the last podcast. He actually put his money where his mouth is, put his heart where his mouth is, put his time where his mouth is. Shout out to my boy KSD Horton. He actually went and protested for Ricky Ball, who was an unfortunate person who got caught up in one of these incidences that we're talking about as far as police brutality, death by police. He actually went out there in Columbus, Mississippi, organized multiple protests, organized the petition signing, organized.
I believe they went to Jackson today on a bus.
A ride to Jackson. So he actually is putting his money where his mouth is, and he don't got a lot of money. But he works really hard for his money, and that's the thing. Like, I know him personally. Kaya knows him. Venom, you should know him eventually because he works hard. He's a great artist. I think we need more people like that in the music industry. Not just donating, not just being one of these big brands who just, oh, I got some money. You know, here's $1 million. Like, what is it? But people who are actually putting their time and effort and hands into the soil to get what we deserve, and he's going to petition the government in Mississippi to throw out the case, but to get back the case reopened. I think is what the situation is. I think one thing
because the judge on the case came in and decided to move the date up very abruptly. And I thought that was very, very foul. They had until Friday to get all their signatures, and she came through and moved the date up to like the same day, basically, just intentionally to make it difficult. And that's the type of, you know, racial injustice that we talk about. That is crap. You know, like, you see these people out here protesting, you see that they care. Give them a second to let their voice be heard, but it's just clear that that's not what that particular judge wants to do. And she was over the Treasury Board in Mississippi for a while, and then she just recently took over as a judge. Yes. So just seeing that type of systematic, way that you can keep people down, that's another example of it right there.
But it's not even just a system. It's somebody physically pulling a lever to close the door. That's what it is. There's somebody that, oh, y'all trying this? Let me pull this lever right here. You know what I'm saying? And
they voted her into that system. They allowed her to be in it.
exactly. I would like to turn our conversation, because I know Kai has a lot of opinions on these brands and their phony support. We got Wendy's. We got to get Wendy's out of here. We got to get McDonald's out of here. we got to get so many brands out of here. What do you guys think of that?
A lot of these Instagram boutiques.
Exactly.
Their brands too.
Like what? Keep in mind that like you said, an Instagram boutique. There was what's that lady's name? A black lady who made a post about she does flat tummy tea, talking about y'all Black Lives Matter, Black Tuesday, stopping my business. I'm gonna make $100,000 tomorrow. Like it was insane.
Oh my God! Wow. Help me!
And this is a black lady.
That's disgusting.
Like some people, I'll be real. Some people make a little bit of money. They forget all about their people, bro. All about their people. So, Kaya, lead us into the conversation about the brands, the makeup companies, the clothing companies, the food companies that have been making these.
I mean, there's been a lot of lists of companies that are going around about, who's supporting Donald Trump and who's supporting, Republicans and Democrats. And when it comes to those big corporations, you're talking about McDonald's and Burger King and these different ones. Chick-fil-A, a lot of them support both sides, if y'all don't know. You know what I'm saying? I saw MAC Cosmetics on there, Bobby Brown Cosmetics. Some of these were hurting my soul. Y'all love makeup. But, I mean, a lot of them are supporting both sides because once you start to get into that, it's about the one percenters with the money dictating the agenda. And the one percenters with the money dictating the agenda across the board usually are like older, privileged white people, and that's what you're seeing a lot of that happen. I mean, the smaller companies like these Instagram boutique brands, I've noticed that, they've never made or had a model of, person of color, Hispanic, Black, anything. And now all of a sudden you got 3 or 4 pictures and it's like, don't pander to me. Don't do that. Because you ain't never, ever, ever, ever thought one time to pick up this chick and now all of a sudden you got 4 Black chicks modeling without putting out a statement saying, if you're going to do that and you realize the error in your ways, put out a statement and say, we realize we haven't been inclusive. We realize we haven't done our part. You need to stick up and say what you haven't been doing and then show the people why you're doing it. Because to just switch it up like that, you just look like you trying to just hop on just so you don't get left in the dust by your Black clientele because they're starting to open their eyes and close their wallets. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And they're noticing that. And my dad's been an advocate for me. You hit people where it hurts, and that's in their pocketbooks.
Facts.
They talk money real good.
And that's exactly why we need to definitely encourage economic development in the community. Because I quoted this stat the other day that by 2015 we were supposed to be making the Black community was supposed to be spending about $1.1 trillion, and by that number alone, we would be the 16th largest country in the world by GDP. And all that money was getting spent in consumer goods, so makeup, clothes, Gucci belt, shoes, Jordans. You know what I'm saying? And we're not saving none of it, but we spending it all. Like, we the number one consumers out here, so it's insane. But guys, so like, I understand y'all have different opinions, especially not just different opinions, but you definitely have strong opinions. I mean, so before we get out of here, I want you to leave off with something that you want my listeners to be left with, something that you would want people that you know to be left off with this conversation. Starting with Kaya. And real quick, and also give your Instagram and Twitter name and stuff like that.
Okay, everybody. Well, I think something that you can be left off with, at least for me, in this conversation, go out and vote for change. Stop just party voting because that's the party you're used to. Listen to the policies. Listen to a lot of policies. Stop being one-issue voters. Like, stop just being like, okay, well, they're only working on, or they're working on this, but then the rest of their campaign doesn't even appeal to what you believe in. You just think about that one issue. You got to open your minds a little more to the campaign, to what these people are talking about in your local government specifically, and make sure that you value your money. Shop with people who are going to be inclusive and who represent things that you want to represent. Shop small business. Shop Black-owned business. Shop smarter. That's what I mean. Build the community up, because a lot of these bigger brands, they remain where they are because we just continuously go spend our money with them. And I think that we can be the bigger impact. As a group of people, we can create that big change by hitting people in their pockets, hitting people where it hurts, and we can come together, because I've seen a lot of people wanting to come together, and if that's you, this is how you can do it. But if you would like to follow me, my Instagram handle is @Vonkaya, and my Twitter handle is @VonkayaM. So slide over there, hit that follow
And the
button.
podcast.
And my podcast, of course, thank you. My podcast is called Eyes Wide Open Podcast. I talk spirituality, different healing, enlightenment for the collective. It's a lot of positive energy. So if a lot of the racial divide tends to overwhelm you, come to me. I will get some healing elements too. I got your back.
Facts. Thanks, Kaya. What we got right now, my boy DJ Venom. What's up? One thought.
Yo, I mean, like she hit it on the head with like that. The hit him in the pocket. So I think finding an alternative to brands we affiliate with that's Black-owned, and then that's a whole other issue. Making sure we hold these Black-owned businesses accountable for being supportive in our community. Because there's a few who would take that name, and they might just be just as conservative as the next white person.
Exactly.
So I think that's a big part. Like just being more conscious with our dollar. How will we do that? Other than that, man, and affecting policy locally wherever you at. So,
drop the IG, drop your Twitter.
They just Venom _B as in boy IH. So this believe in humanity.
Venom, believe in humanity. If you're just from Florida, you just say a bit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But last but not least, for me, I want everybody to think about a policy and an agenda that you want to see come out of this. It's not just enough for us to march. It's not just enough for us to put up signs. It's not just enough for us to scream at the top of our lungs. What means more is to actually put it together an agenda. Put together a coalition of people who are willing to take this agenda to the top and protest directly to these people, these politicians' faces, to our local politicians' faces, to get the change in our communities and get legislation changed to also reflect what we want to see in our communities. So we actually have something to hold people accountable and be able to hold these people to the fire for their decisions of not supporting us. Because if we keep letting people like McConnell in office, guess what's going to happen? It'll never get passed. You know what I'm saying? Like, one thing I also say is if we get sick and tired of trying to influence people, we need to create our own situations. These people who hated Obama, they created the Tea Party out of nowhere in thin air, and they voted everything down. So if we can't get people in office who agree with our agenda, we must get our own people in office who can take our agenda and lift it to the top level. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If you're a part of the live stream that went on today, follow everybody. My homegirl Kaya, my brother DJ Venom. I know the phases are opening up out here. You can probably catch DJ Venom eventually, someday, on a cruise ship.
Maybe.
You know what I'm saying? And then you can always catch him whenever he gets a chance to DJ for ESPN. Gets a DJ for other big brands as well. And I even mentioned the other day, Venom, that you've DJed for like the JDL, I think, right? The Jewish Defense League or something?
Oh yeah, man, that was no, not the Jewish Defense League, but so it was crazy. So I did one for the Jewish Federation.
Okay.
And it was just a party they had for their employees at their compound.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to be on their compound to see that. But from that, they offered up a gig so that federation of that coalition of basically funding the Israeli troops.
Okay.
And I went down with that check. No,
Yeah.
that check.
Because, Israel kind of racist. Anyway, we love you.
Yeah.
But,
Palestine.
yeah. So my whole thing about that is like, you went to a space where they make people come to them. So
right.
That's important. We need to make our coalitions big enough so these politicians got to come to us.
Right.
And so that's one last thing I want to leave on. Of course, follow everybody here. Follow the podcast, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, of course, Spotify. Kaya's podcast, Eyes Wide Open Podcast, is on all those platforms as well. And, of course, it's your boy DJ, Spyda the Don. It's Facts Podcast, of course. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to my guests. Let's have a good night.
Thanks.
It's Facts. Bye.
Bye, guys.